very, very glad that you did make it back, uh, fully whole, perhaps even somewhat evolved. And I suppose that I'd be remiss not to, maybe really get into a conversation without, slaying the proverbial elephant in the room. Is can you share what you're willing to share about, kind of how life has been going for you over the last couple of years? Maybe what brought you back into the writing life? And I promise that I'm not going to be, laying on the couch with a pen and paper here. What's been happening, and more importantly, I suppose, perhaps, what brought you back into the light of the writing world?
Yeah, okay, well, I'll try to make this short. Um, the last year of my life was definitely the worst year of my life. It was really bad, and it was mostly my fault, but there were some other things that happened that were out of my control. My father is very sick,
Mm.
and my mom is just starting to get sick, and they're managing, your parents as they age out is a tough thing on its own. But it just so happens that those things occurred during a period of time in my life where I was undergoing some brutal change. And I learned during that time that real change is extraordinarily painful. So I wasn't writing for a while because I just did not have the attention span and the motivation to do it. But then I've read a book by Nick Roberts called Dead End Tunnel,
Mm.
and it inspired me to start writing again, just kind of for myself, with no intention to publish. And then a few people told me that they thought the story was really interesting, and so I decided to make it into a novel and share it with the world. And I'm not really sure how it's going to be received, but I'm happy that I wrote it. It gave me something to focus on during the hard times. So.
Yeah, no, that's great to hear, and I'm really sorry to hear about your parents. Yeah, I work in a long-term care center as well, and I, certainly see the toll it takes on the children that are there every day trying to take care of their loved ones as much as they can. And yeah, if you're going through stuff yourself, I mean, it makes it even tenfold tough when you barely have the spoons to kind of get through your own day, let alone helping your parents try to get through theirs.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, the experience has, especially of watching my father get really sick, it's provoked a lot of existential questions in me about the role of men in the world and inheriting kind of a fucked up planet, and how best I can use my energy and talents to try to influence it in a positive way, And I still don't have the answers to those questions, but I think about them a lot. So.
Yeah. Well, I think the answer is probably a lifelong journey. You may never have the answers, but as long as you keep trying to find the answers, I think that's puts you ahead of a lot of people out there that just don't care to find the answers.
Yeah, absolutely. What did Styx was it Styx? No, it was, uh oh, who the hell sings "Wayward Son"? Kansas?
Oh, carry on, my wayward son. I believe it is Kansas.
It's Kansas, yeah, he says, "If I claim to be a wise man, then I surely do not know." I try to keep that in mind.
Hmm. That's yeah, that's those are very wise words, very simple wise words.
Yeah.
And the next question I want to ask you as well, Felix, is feels like the public appearance that you made later, what was it, last year? No, it was earlier this year, wasn't it, at the Books and Brew event?
Yeah.
Makes that seem like even more mind-boggling and maybe even impressive that you were going through obviously so much with your own personal life, with being there for helping your parents out, questioning everything, and yet you still made that public appearance, which it was a very surprise appearance. I think everybody was very surprised, and certainly understanding how seriously that you do take your privacy and how you generally do keep out of the public eye. What brought you to to get out for that particular event? And I'd love to know maybe how you felt about that sort of during the event happened, maybe how you felt afterwards. You thought, what the hell was I thinking? What did I do that? uh you know any surprises? Maybe it went better than you thought, or that
Yeah.
was obviously a big leap of faith for you.
I had a lot of doubts about doing it, and I almost canceled like twice. But I am a pretty sociable person, and I wanted to meet my peers in the indie horror community. I mean, there's a lot of authors that I really admire. I wanted to meet Dan Franklin and John Durgan and Nick Roberts and all these people, Jen Osborne, and and I I I had to make a difficult decision about how much of my privacy I wanted to give up in order to be more integrated in the community. And I'm glad that I did it because it went off great. Everybody was super friendly. I got to meet a ton of readers and authors that I admire, and it was a net positive experience for me. Um, so coming away from that, I definitely want to do another convention, but
Mm,
I don't want to do too many because I release books pretty slowly compared to my peers.
sure.
So I don't want to just show up and hawk the same wares all the time, But maybe in a few years, like after my next book, I'll show up to another one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And something tells me if you showed up with nothing but placard with your name on it, I think people would be just as happy to see you. And you don't even have to have books either. You can also just be a part of panels. And I know I've known of authors that do that. That they just simply show up and they'll do some panels, and maybe do a reading, and and call it a day, and just spend the rest of the day just mingling and networking with people.
It was super fun because the first night that I think I was there for like 3 nights, and the first night I went into the convention without being announced, and I wasn't wearing a name tag. Nobody knew who the hell I was. So, I was just a reader, and I was walking around
Yeah.
meeting all of my favorite authors, and I got to meet Thomas Old Heuvel, and I talked with him for a couple of minutes, and he did not know who I was, and, I just got to admire authors and talk to them about their books without them also trying to like include me as an author in the conversation or acknowledging my work because there's a tendency to do that like authors will
Sure.
praise each other's work and it gets in the way of the real like fan interaction that I wanted to have with some of these authors. So um and I have to say later on a couple days later, I got to sit in a bar with Thomas Hoivold and just listen to his mountain climbing stories for like an hour. And it was like the best experience that I've had in a long time. He's a great storyteller in person and on paper, and I really admire him a lot.
Well, that is fantastic when you get a chance to do that, and it sounds like you somehow found a superpower in that you were able to just walk around and mingle, kind of half invisible as just a reader.
Sure, yeah.
So that's really cool. And speaking of books, so I know you started off at that event not talking about your books, but I want to start talking about your next book, if I can, Sorrowstone. You recently did post, and you touched on that, of course, at the start of our conversation about how that book, in a lot of ways, was a way out of that darkness for you, perhaps inspired by Nick Roberts' book.
Yeah.
What can you share about that choice that you did make to channel such a personal struggle in your life and with your parents and such into that book? And I guess my question's kind of twofold, because I'd also love to know what the effects of writing that book had on you personally. I wondered if you maybe even started off thinking that you're going to publish this book next, or I know you were encouraged to write it later on, but once you decided that was going to be an actual novel, if you chose that you're going to publish this before it was finished.
Yeah. I knew I was going to publish it like maybe halfway through. And it was a cathartic experience writing it because in some ways it was fun. It's like a horror themed Goonies story about a group of kids that they find some haunted objects, these like carven figurines that show up on Halloween in one of the kids' candy bags. And it it brings the circle of friends to ruin and has an effect on the whole town, and it's a horrible experience for them. But y- I guess I just like stories, horror stories where the kids are protagonists. Nick Roberts did that really well. I love Pen Pal
Mhm.
by Auerbach. There's a couple of books, It and
Mhm.
oh, what's that Dan Simmons book, Summer of Night, one of my favorite books of all time. I'm no Dan Simmons, believe me. You'll see it when you read this book, but it
Yeah.
was fun, and um, it also let me exercise some of my demons. I think my my work, uh, it has a lot of thematic exploration around father-son relationships.
Mhm.
And so in Church Beneath the Roots, behind you there, that book is about two men who hate each other, who are trying to live up to their own greater father's legacies. And in this book, the protagonist's relationship with his father deteriorates, and some terrible things happen there. And it's just been on my mind for a long time, especially because my father's illness has reminded me that I was not the best son when I was younger. I didn't really make an effort to be in his life, and um, I ignored a lot of the wisdom that he tried to impart to me. And so I've got a lot of regrets and guilt over those things, and I'm now sort of, uh, I think, projecting them into my writing. Maybe it can help
Mhm.
somebody else. I don't know, but it helped me to write about it, I think.
Yeah.
So
Good. Yeah, and I thought that was an interesting choice because for the most part, I mean, there's a younger child that plays a relatively pivotal part, a couple of younger kids in Church Beneath the Roots, but certainly with Sorrowstone, if I believe the main protagonist is that gets the totem or the cursed object in his candy bag is only 11 years old.
that's right.
So I
Yeah.
thought that was a really interesting choice. Was it there a specific reason that you wrote through a character that was that young? Was that more of a personal connection to you, or is that just simply what the muse demanded of him?
Yeah. So I really am amused when sometimes readers will say that some things in my books are like total bullshit that could never happen, because a
Mhm.
lot of the scenes in my books really did happen to me throughout the course of my life. And I mean,
Yeah.
not stuff with demons and ghosts, but like some of the banter or the weird interactions that I had with other people. So in the Sorrowstones, um, there's an 11-year-old boy named Cole Graves, and he is out trick or treating with his buddies, and he goes home and dumps all his candy onto his bed, and he's looking for Kit Kat bars or whatever, and he finds this this carven figurine in the shape of a tortoise, and it's made from
Mm,
stone, and this kind of sets off the fiasco of the Sorrow Stones. It unleashes their terrible curses. But that actually, the first part of that did happen to me when I was, I think I was 11. I think it was the last time I ever went trick or treating before I became
mm.
too cool to go trick or treating. Um, I found a weird, like, an effigy or an idol in my candy bag, and it was pretty
Mm,
creepy given the fact that it was on
yeah.
Halloween that I had discovered it. And I had it for a
Right.
long time, and then I lost it just recently, like maybe a couple of years ago.
Oh, wow.
It was some kind of Polynesian carving that might have come from Hawaii or, the American Samoa or something like that. But
Huh.
I've looked it up. I can't find it online. I don't know who made it. I don't know why the person gave it to me, but somebody put it in my candy bag. So this story springs from that experience.
Wow, that is fascinating, and I would love to know if you ever find that object again, where you might find it and at what point in your life. That might be the scariest story yet.
There's a book by Joe Hill called Nosferatu. Have you read that?
Mhm.
There's a
No, I
gr
haven't read that one yet.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a young girl who discovers that if she rides her bike underneath this particular bridge, it teleports her to the location of a lost object, and she goes
Hmm,
and retrieves these lost objects. I think that's Nosferatu, not heart-shaped box, right? Yeah, it's Nosferatu.
okay.
So maybe if I could find that bridge, I might be able to find that figurine.
There you go, you just gotta get on your bike and ride.
Yeah, there you go. There's a whole lot of bike riding in the Sorrow Stones too.
Oh,
So
perfect. Well, yeah, I mean, that age bracket, you can't not have bike riding. I mean, it's
yeah.
kinda like, even, for making book references, I, certainly recall Brian Keene's Ghoul, which is such a fantastic coming of age story, and his BMX Mongoose makes a huge appearance constantly in that book.
There's a mongoose in this book too. Yeah, I
Nice.
haven't read Ghoul. I know I need to, but I wonder if it takes
Yeah.
place in like the mid to late 90s.
I probably closer to the 80s.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think the 90s have so much to do with it, but certainly throughout the 80s.
Okay, yeah.
I don't think it's specified in there, but just the tonality and yeah, I want to say the 80s.
Gotcha, yeah.
When I say the 80s, yeah, I know it's great, and I mean, I certainly remember as a kid that like I never had the BMX. I had a Bobcat, and
Mhm.
you could always tell where I was by just looking at which driveway my bike happened to be
Yeah.
strewn about on.
I
So like
lived in
one
the
way of the
same kind of
fence.
neighborhoods, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. It was great. Speaking of influences, certainly between your, your viral sensation, Stolen Tongues, which is over here, which I thought is interesting because that, of course, also never started out being meant for publication, let alone to be a book. Then,
Yeah.
of course, you've got its prequel, and really even to a point, I think, a lot of your short stories from Cold People and other tales is that as much as you really lean into creating tales that drip with anxiety, a lot of creeping terror, you still managed to provide a glimmer of hope to most assumably doomed characters that you wrote about. And judging from the description of Sorrowstone, kind of got the impression that you've stripped that hope away for any kind of positive outcome this time around. And I'm just wondering if I maybe, without giving too much away, of course, if I am misinterpreting what the story has in store for me and us, or if you just approach this one with a darker focus because of things that you're going on and just thought, I'm just going all in full dark.
Yeah, well, I would say The Church Beneath the Roots is definitely like grief horror. Um,
Mm,
so the Sorrow Stones is probably a couple steps pulled back from that. There is a lot of fun banter between the kids, and there's, it's a modern lily white neighborhood, suburbia that these kids live in, which is where I spent part of my childhood. And it things get worse and worse. And my wife read the book recently and said,
yeah.
"How many terrible things can happen to one child?" And
Oof.
she said it was very upsetting. She was pretty bothered by Pen Pal that really disturbed her, and
Yeah.
Daughter's Drawings by Nick Boddick, and you know books about kids experiencing horror that should only happen to adults, if anybody.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, this book it's pretty dark as far as what the characters go through. There's a lot of death and despair, and there's a lot of different kinds of horror scenes, which I think is exciting. I wrote like a wider range of horror scenes than I've ever written in any book.
Yeah.
So I think there's something in there for everybody. But yeah, I'm not going to say it's a happy ending because none of my books have happy endings.
Sure.
But it's things maybe could have been worse at the end. So there's a glimmer of hope there.
Okay.
God, that scared the shit out of me.
It's my other half in the background sneezing. Yeah.
If I had a
Y-
jump reflex, I would have jumped.
Yeah. Jeez, yeah. I went, I tell you, we'll be driving on the road and it'll just happen out of the blue. And like, I will like grab on the old shit handle.
That's funny.
Yeah. Yeah. They scare me pretty good. So I thought I was pretty good with jump reflexes too. I actually went into a haunted house attraction a couple nights ago, and apparently I've still got a few jump scares left to me to get.
Oh, that's good. Yeah.
So they
I
got me.
think I
Yeah,
I've
which is nice.
I've noticed I don't have one, and I think it's not because I'm super brave or something. I'm actually a coward, but um, I think it's because I get so spooked that I become extremely still, like a rabbit, and maybe the danger will not notice me. So
Gotcha. Like a like a little roll deer in headlights.
yeah, there you go.
I was like, let's analyze this. Maybe it'll go by me, or
Right?
you know, run you over, one or the
Yeah.
other. So, I do find that really fascinating, especially with you, given more of a take on how dark and how, relentless and brutal it sounds like the characters really go through in Sorrowstone, especially when earlier back you did mention how you felt that that was great to get a lot of the things that are going on in your life into this book in a cathartic manner. So would you think it's fair to say that maybe this was just a way that, this was sort of your proverbial punching bag that you're able to take out your sorrows of the world and dump them into this book? Or do you think that this book was also a lot like more of a personal exploration into maybe some of the darkest parts of you to see what was going on there from, the safe distance of pen to paper?
Yeah, I mean, so for contrast, I very intentionally explored my relationship with my own father in The Church Beneath the Roots,
Yeah,
and also the guilt and the shame that I was dealing with more broadly in my life. Um, in the Sorrow Stones, I definitely was not like consciously trying to do any like in personal examination of myself. I was just
mm,
trying to write a fun story, and subconsciously, I think I deposited some of those themes that were rattling around in my skull. So I wouldn't say that it's like a character study of Felix Blackwell the way that The Church Beneath the Roots is, but
sure.
those themes made their way into the book nonetheless.
Gotcha. And is it just as long of, because I know with, of course, Church Beneath the or Birds Beneath the Church, it's a very church, yeah, church. I keep juxtaposing those. Yeah, Church Beneath the Roots. I should just up behind me.
That's okay.
It's a monster of a book that I especially compared to much shorter, quicker read of Stolen Tons, but it was also of such a length that I could have easily read more of it. Uh,
Mm.
can we expect something similar with Sorrowstone? Was that, uh, you know, was it just something that was just had to get mean and fast and out of your system, or was it a would you call it more of a chunkier book as well, like Church
Yeah.
was or Churches?
The Sorrowstones is the just by happenstance the exact word count of Stolen Tongues.
Oh, that's funny. Okay.
So depending on the font that my formatter chooses, it's going to be
Sure.
probably right around like 280 to 310 pages, but it's like the
Okay.
same size as Stolen Tongues. It's also a quicker read like Stolen Tongues because it uses
Mm,
like more modern prose. It's not super literary. Church Beneath the Roots is my attempt to do like a literary Dan Simmons style horror novel. So the
sure.
prose is slower and more dense, and the dialogue is more like thick with metaphor and stuff like that.
Sure.
But this book is about a bunch of kids talking, so the dialogue is not complex, and the observations that Cole, the main character, makes about the world is uh, it's written in the language that a teenage boy would be equipped with. So the
Sure.
story tracks him across, I think, 5 years of his life. So he's 16 by the end of the story.
Okay.
Um, and it's also written in first person, just like Stolen Tongues, not
Oh, cool.
third person like Church Beneath the Roots. So it's pretty similar. People who like Stolen Tongues are probably going to like this book, except it. I don't think it's as scary as Stolen Tongues. I don't think anything
Hmm.
I ever write will be as scary as Stolen Tongues, and people just have to accept that about me. So
Fair, fair. Well, they can always just go back and read Stolen Tons again.
there you go. Yeah.
So, although that said, I did say, and I stand, this the whole will die on a stand on that. That certainly the ending of Church was one of the most terrifying friggin' endings ever, and it was relentless. It wasn't just a quick, 1-2 punch sort of thing at the end. It went on for a few, a good number of pages, and it was just, yeah, just terrifying. I think about it still sometimes. It was very, very effective.
I really
So,
appreciate that. Yeah, Church Beneath
mhm,
the Roots is absolutely the best thing I've ever written, and it's
yeah.
all downhill from here. My career is just going to go down the hill from that book. So
Well, we'll be the judge of that.
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. So now uh with that said as well, when you were, when you kind of look back then at, uh obviously there was a lot of personal stuff then, certainly that's or enough personal stuff that went into Sorrowstone. I know that you are, of course, a history teacher, and a lot of that played out with the native folklore and culture in church. But for Solarstone, of course, you also have some of the, I guess, should we say, occult that goes into it as well with the talismans that, this poor boy is cursed with. Was that based on research and rabbit holes that you're already aware that you've already gone down, or did you also find that you were able to sort of have that cerebral approach to this book while you're writing it as well?
Yeah, I no longer teach history. That was a long time ago. I
Oh, okay.
re-rolled careers after being tired of being broke in California.
Fair.
But yeah, there no research really went into the Sorrow Stones. Church Beneath the Roots was a massive research project. Like I
Mhm.
was actually like visiting university campuses. I went and used some of the libraries and an archive at UCLA. I met with a few experts in a particular subfield of Indigenous history that I didn't know much about. So that was I really tried to get my history absolutely clean in Church Beneath the Roots. In A Sorrow Stones, it's entirely just my brainchild, my fun ideas about the occult, and I don't think I did any research for it. I didn't think it necessitated it.
Okay, perfect.
Uh,
And I find that I've talked to a lot of different authors who seem to have a lot of different responses to their publication. Some have equated to like giving up a child to the world, or others say that they kind of enjoy that clean break at this damn thing end of my life. Uh, Considering everything that that went into this book as well, and what a period of time that it kind of marks for you, what might be going through your mind is and how are you processing the finality of finally getting this book to publication and getting this out there for everybody else to claim as their own, especially when certainly the last couple of years or a couple of years ago we were chatting, you didn't even have any inclination to get back into the writing field again.
yeah. Well, my family is going to be super happy that I'm no longer. I work all day, so I write at night and I write on weekends, and so I'm busy a lot in the back bedroom, hunched over a laptop with my headphones on, isolating myself from the world. And um, when I'm writing a manuscript, it takes like a year to do, and my family kind of suffers for that because I'm just so detached. But it's a meditation, it's a trance that you have to go into and stay there to get the book done,
Yeah,
and it commands a lot of patience and diligence. So I'm excited to get the book out so that I can spend more time with my family. But at the same time, I'm always apprehensive about releasing a book to the public
sure.
because, like, you never know how they're going to react, and you start to, book sales start to factor into the calculus of
Mhm.
your finances and your budget. And um, I I really agonized over whether people would like Church Beneath the Roots or not because I was trying to demonstrate that I had listened to my critics and taken their advice on Stolen Tongues. But on this book, I wrote it just for myself and I wasn't trying to prove anything to anybody. So I don't know how people are going to react
Mm,
to it. I am a little worried, um, but not as much as I was with my previous release. When you're a writer, other writers always give you the advice that like you just have to release your baby into the world and it doesn't belong to you anymore, and you have to just
sure.
be okay with however it goes. But for me, I'm very frail when it comes to putting my art out. Like I'm a
Mm,
musician first and an author second,
right.
and when I put music out, I worry that people will hate it too. And it's just brutal what people say about things that they don't like. And so I very often consider, maybe coming up with a pen name and just releasing books as a different person, or maybe just not publishing anymore at all, just because the way that the world is right now, especially, there's a lot of appeal to hating on everything, um,
Yeah.
and to being fucking pissed off all the time. Uh, so yeah, I think about these things. I mean, by the way, like people
Yeah.
have excellent justification for being angry all the time, I think, and I don't want to take that away from them. I'm
Right.
I'm super fucking mad every time I look at the news.
Yeah.
But when it comes to art, they're just books and it's just music, and it's
Sorry.
hard to. No, it's okay. I've got two cats in here with me. Uh, yeah, so I'm trying to take it in stride this time.
Good. Well, I think that's certainly the fact that you worry about it is certainly a testament to your humbleness, I think, and the fact that you probably are a pretty grounded, sensitive human being. I mean, I don't know how many authors that they publish something and they just think that it's just gold and that people should bow down. And what do you mean you don't like this book? I can't believe it. Book is awesome. You have no idea how good I am.
I've
And
never
you
met
just
an
didn't
author like
get it.
that.
And oh, for never. I mean, I've heard about them. I've never.
Oh,
Yeah, I've met a few of them like
oh, really?
that. So
Yeah, there are a couple of authors who are, like, intentionally controversial, and I see them
sure.
arguing with their readers all the time, and I see them saying things like I would never fucking say.
Yeah,
Um, but I don't have that kind of personality. You know, I was more polemical when I was younger. I was into debate and things like that. But
sure.
now I just want to live a peaceful life and entertain people with some stories. And I'm not trying to stoke controversy. Stolen Tongues was
Yeah.
super controversial. I was not trying to make a controversial book. I was not trying to make a book. I was not trying to make a viral story. I was just trying to have some fun. But
Yeah, yeah. And
uh,
it's funny. I don't. I mean, even there's two books that I see on some of the more major book groups that are out there that I see pop up once in a while, and they're so polarizing. It's Jack Ketchum's The Girl Next Door
mm,
and Stolen Tons.
oh, really?
Where people, this book is like, it just, with regarding Stolen Tons, everybody's like, this is the creepiest book I ever read. That other people are saying, this thing seems like it's kind of disjointed. Like, this,
Yeah.
were they even trying to write a book? And I feel, and I don't, there was a few times where I've actually gone out and I've said, look, like, you obviously don't know the words of this book. It was never meant to be a book in the first
Mhm.
place. And then he pieced it together. And personally, I think it's fucking awesome. And a lot of people do too. So,
Yeah.
but just, to understand the context of that. But then after all, I just thought, you know what, kind of like you, I'm like, let's just let people have their anger.
Yeah, I have to. I mean, I don't have a choice, it doesn't belong to me anymore, but a lot of people don't
Sure.
know, and it doesn't matter how many times I say it. Um, Stolen Tongues, I have no creative writing training whatsoever. I was a nonfiction writer throughout my academic years, and I didn't know anything about creative writing, character arcs, plot points, pacing, none of this stuff, like denouements, climax. I couldn't even define those words really. And I also was so broke that, when I wrote Stolen Tongues, that I could not even afford an editor. I paid, like, I think I did a Kickstarter and I raised a couple $100 for the jacket art, and I formatted the book myself. I uploaded the file to Amazon, CreateSpace, I think, or no, it was called CreateSpace back then. Now it's
Oh,
KDP,
right. Yeah.
and I hit publish, and that was it. It was full of spelling errors, and like misused the word mortify. I thought the word mortify meant like terrify, but it means embarrass, I think.
Huh.
I overused the word fiance. I didn't know what constituted a paragraph, and like what a chapter, what defines a chapter,
Yeah.
scene mapping. I didn't know any of that stuff. So after the book went viral, I had to go and teach myself, like, the elements of creative writing, and I tried to demonstrate that I learned those things in Church Beneath the Roots. So I would love it if people would read Stolen Tongues and then read Church Beneath the Roots after and go
Right.
like, "Wow, look at this writer's character arc,"
Yeah.
But,
The arc on this guy, so let me tell you.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, I mean, and I know that you certainly went all out and you really invested a lot into that book too, and you got
Yeah,
the professional editing skills of Lindsay Smith from Horseman Publishing, and
that's right.
I've had her on previous podcasts before, and like she doesn't mess around. That's all that she does is books.
She's an
You know,
expert.
yeah, that she is. No, I almost feel bad. Did you go through her again with this one, or somebody different, or
No, and I actually emailed her and I told her, "Lindsay, I swear I'm gonna hire you for this particular book project that I
yeah,
have in mind that I haven't started yet." But, for Sorrowstones, it's written in such a casual way, like Stolen Tongues, but not as, uninformed.
right?
You know, so I had my, good friend and co-author, sometimes co-author on, The Cold People. His name is Colin Northwood. He did the editing for me, and he did, like, 6 um, drafts. Like, he
Oh
worked with
wow.
me across several drafts of the book, and he really helped me tighten it up. And he pointed out some, like, major plot holes, and I really couldn't have done it without him. And Lindsay was the same way. Lindsay found some
Mhm.
big plot holes in Church Beneath the Roots, and she's formally trained. She's very academic. I really appreciate her studiousness.
Yeah.
But I have a bigger project in mind for her. So
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Okay, well, that does lead me to my next question as well. But before I get into that question, Felix, did you want to go ahead and read? I think you mentioned you've got the first chapter that you're going to bestow upon us.
Yeah, maybe we could do that one at the end though, just because I gotta like take off my mask to get my
Oh,
mic up in
absolutely.
my face and stuff. So,
Yeah,
but
you
if
got
is
it.
there anything else that you would like want me to talk about before I do that, or?
Well, you kind of mentioned you gave me a segue here, a little bit of a carrot on a stick, if you will, regarding chatting with Lindsay perhaps on a much bigger project,
Mm,
because that was one of the things that I mean I almost was not going to ask you this because maybe you don't even know. You mentioned a big project that might be that you might have Lindsay work on with you. Can you tell us anything about that project, or is that something you're just going to sort of put on the back burner for now?
yeah, I'm afraid I'll say too much. Well, I I think the best thing about Stolen Tongues was the monster. I think most people agree that if there's anything that you could keep from Stolen Tongues, which is otherwise a manuscript to be discarded, um, the monster is pretty cool. Well,
Very.
couple of maybe a year ago, I had an idea for a monster for a horror novel that I
Mm,
think is actually even cooler.
mm.
He is the most interesting character I've ever created, and I cannot wait to write a book about him. I truly think he's going to be like monumental. Um, and I try not to brag, so I like
By all means, brag away. No,
yeah,
no
I mean
judgment here.
I really think I've got something special with this character. And my buddy, who is never impressed by anything, thought it was amazing. So he's a good
Yes.
bellwether for whether it'll do well. Um, so I'm gonna take at least a few years off after Sorrowstones, just because
Sure.
I need the space and the time. And my mind is very subject to change depending on what's going on with my life. I've got some really big
Mhm.
things with my family, but I do think I'll write another book someday in the future. It's going to be about this monster, and I'm going all out with it. I'm gonna make a hardcover with like full color interior art illustrations, like
Mm.
glossy white pages, and it's gonna be a big deal. I don't know when that's coming, but I keep thinking about it, and I know that if I keep thinking about an idea for longer than a few weeks, I know it's a keeper.
It becomes a story that has to be told for you.
That's right.
Well, that is exciting, and I guess in the back of my mind too, it's funny because as you were chatting about certainly with still in tons and mentioned that you got it out there and there's like plot holes and high paragraph anybody or that sort of thing. I imagine you probably would never go back and create like a new edition of that, knowing what you know now about writing style and and the creation of an actual story format. That one's sort of out of your life now, or do you think you'd ever go back and maybe redo it somewhat, and kind of make it the way that it could have been made had you written that Stolen Tons now at this point in your life and career?
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think about that all the time. I would love to redo Stolen Tongues. I would just do like a redux of it or something. And
Sure.
my idea for that is to release it fully rewritten, combined with The Church Beneath the Roots as one big tome. It's got like two books in it, so it's just a big volume. And I would
Yeah.
do it the same way, hardcover with interior art and stuff like that. And that may come someday in the distant future, but
Yeah.
there are a lot of logistical problems around that. Like, how do
Sure.
you put a book on Amazon that's like the same book as one that exists, but it's slightly different? I'd have to like title it
Right.
differently and different ISBN, and then what do I do? Do I stop marketing Stolen Tongues, or it's just weird? So
Right. Because yeah, that would be an interesting thing, unless of course you had well, I mean, I think like you mentioned, if you had it with some other stories, either as an omnibus or some additional short stories or novellas or what have you in there, and with some illustrations, that would become a whole new experience, I think. And
Yeah.
especially if you had a different cover, I think people would still be, certainly wanting the cover behind me to get that original cover, for the book.
Yeah,
So
I've
there's
actually
that.
already I commissioned Martin de Diego Sabata to do the cover for the new Stolen Tongues book, and
Oh,
he is
okay.
the guy who did the cover of The Church Beneath the Roots, sitting behind you there.
I
Um,
love that.
he's a
Yeah, here,
brilliant. I
just to show
love.
people,
Yeah,
because I've only got the back here, but it's a yeah. There you go here. So it is. I don't know if people can see that too well. But yeah, I
yeah.
just love the cover on that. It's just gorgeous, and it's neat too. So this is one of the covers, but you also have in the hardcover, I believe it is. You have an alternative cover, I think.
That's right. So that
Okay.
other one was made by Harshanan Singh, who is an
Okay.
Indian right or Indian digital artist,
Okay.
and I think both Martin Sabata and Harshanan do Magic the Gathering cards. If I'm not mistaken, they
Oh, no
both do
kidding.
the artwork for Magic,
Huh.
and I think that's how I found both of them. But yeah, and Harsh is an amazing um, artist, and I have told him I want to hire him again. It's just they're both very expensive because they're really serious artists. They carve out like a whole month to do their work, so
Wow.
I gotta strategically choose which books they're gonna do.
Mm,
And I
Definitely
also,
fair.
since I mentioned those two, I should give props to Lorinda Tomko, who did the cover of Stolen Tongues behind you, and
Yeah.
she did the cover of the Sorrowstones, which you can show if you want. And Lorinda has done more artwork for me than any other artist. She's worked with me on personal projects for
Frames,
19 years now.
stolen tongues.
Yeah, and she is such a wonderful person and artist. She's super patient with me. I'm like super neurotic about all my art, and
Yeah.
she has never complained about any of my many revision requests, and
Yeah.
I love her. So
That makes a huge difference because it has to translate well so that people, they're no matter what. I mean, I judge books by covers all the time,
yeah,
which is only as good as what's behind the cover too. You don't want to have this absolutely brilliant cover and then the story's just kind of meh, but hey, at least I got a cool cover out of it. You
I'm
want it to
afraid
be
that might
well
happen. Yeah,
blended. Oh no, I don't think that's going to happen. So, that's awesome. That's really cool. And with Sorrow Stones, how do you feel that that's going to impact you personally? Because I imagine that's a bit of s- a very cathartic distraction. Did you maybe during all that have anything in mind of sort of what do you do to fill that particular space where this book has taken up over the last couple of years or years since you've been writing it? Or
oh
do you
yeah,
have any things that you do now that you find will help to, sort of put the dirt back in the hole, so to speak?
yeah, for sure. Well, like I said earlier, I'm just going to be spending more time with my family, which is always the best thing I can do with my
Yeah.
time. But I in I have a rule where I try not to like play video games too much while I'm writing a manuscript, but I
Okay.
do enjoy gaming sometimes.
Yeah.
And I am going to play the shit out of Silent Hill F and Ghost of Yote because Silent Hill as a franchise has been more influential on me than like any other media in my horror career. Um, uh, and then Ghost of Tsushima was a game that I never expected to play and definitely did
Yeah.
not think that I would like, and it became one of my, like, top 10 games of all time when I played it. I fell in
No
love with
kidding.
it. So I've been holding off on Ghost of Yote, which is the sequel, but I really wanna play it, and I've been waiting until the Sorrowstones comes out so that I can
Yeah.
really put my attention into it, you know?
That's awesome. And I think it's and they're both on, PlayStation, I believe, right?
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, because I saw the Silent Hill, I think that just dropped on the PlayStation Network not too long ago, if I'm not mistaken, like, last few weeks, if I think there's a new version, unless it's
Yeah.
just an expansion pack.
Yeah, I've been yeah, that's a Born from a Wish expansion coming out to a Silent Hill 2 remake, and I played Silent Hill 2 recently, and it was I think we played that last year. It was everything I could ever hope it would be based on my memories of the original game.
Oh, that's so good.
And I also I got the Resident Evil 2 remake when it first came out, and that's the game that I was looking forward to, like, more than any game in my life. Because
Yeah.
Resident Evil 2, the original, is probably my favorite game ever
It's so
made.
good. It's so good.
Yeah.
I played that for a while myself, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 months ago, and then I just life happened. I kinda got away from gaming, and I got back into other stuff. Actually, I think that's when I went back and I played, Until Dawn. That
Oh,
thing's
yeah,
been out
yeah.
forever, but I've never played it. I'm like, I had no idea this was such a great game, and I had no idea at the time that Larry Fessenden was a part of it, that he wrote the script for it, and, of course, I watched the movie right after, which the movie was good, but, man, if they stuck with the original script of the game, I think it would've been so much better.
Yeah, I like the movie for what it was, it wasn't the
Yeah.
game, but I'm not so fussy about movies, as I am about books.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it was and games too, but Until Dawn was great, Resident Evil 2, super awesome. I still listen to the Resident Evil and Silent Hill soundtracks when I write, and I've been doing that for, like, 15 or 20 years.
Yeah, they just have just this creepy ambiance that's fantastic, and, of
Oh,
course, no lyrics either, which is nice for writing.
yeah.
I know when I was writing before, I came across some weird Viking, like warlike, music, and it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
great with a little bit of chanting in the background on occasion, and it was just so good to get you pumped up without these distracting,
yeah.
vocals, other than the odd time somebody would, like, yell out, give some war cry, but,
Yeah,
that's
I
okay.
listen to that sometimes too at work. I love ambient music. I'm also, like, really into synthwave. I don't know if you've heard of the genre called synthwave. Um,
I I might have, I'd have to hear it to be able to say, "Yeah, that's the stuff."
it's modern instrumental music designed to sound like the synthy, film scores of the 1980s,
Oh, okay,
and
yeah, yeah, okay, yeah.
it just hits me right in the nostalgia. It's perfect. I love it, and I listen to it all day. So
Yeah, and I'll listen to those, sometimes too, is like you'll see synthwaves from like the 80s or the 90s, and they'll just have some really cool graphic that kind of it's almost like an infinity mirror because the graphic doesn't change, but it looks like it just
mhm.
keeps on like a car, some
Yep,
futuristic car drive into these 80 pop synth songs
yep, you've
and
seen it
that.
then.
So
Yeah, that's
yeah,
exactly there's a
yeah.
whole culture on YouTube for just that stuff, and I love it.
Oh wow. That's yeah, and it's so good too. Like you hear the songs all over again for the first time, but they're yeah, like a it's almost like yeah, like a futuristic nostalgia almost. It's a really cool vibe.
Yes.
I like it.
Nostalgic for a future that never was.
Oh, nice. I'm gonna think about that for meditate on that for a little while.
Yeah.
Well said. So, all right. Well, if you're yeah, I really appreciate all the time today, Felix. This has been absolutely incredible. So been very much looking forward to this and really happy that you're able to, to be here with us today and share not only an upcoming book, but talking about some of the other stuff that may come down the pipeline as well. So really appreciative of that. Now, do you have I guess really the best way to get any kind of updates about future projects once Sorrowstones comes out and people read that and they want more of you. I know that you kind of go in and out of the Facebook. Is that probably the best way to get updates from you in the future?
I think the best way to do it is go to my website, which is, felixblackwell.com,
Okay,
and there's a section where there's like a box you can put your email in to get onto my mailing list, and,
perfect.
um, if I'm gonna do anything, I send an email to my mailing list, and so they know about it before anybody else, and that's actually a good way to get into the pre-sale for the, signed book,
Mm,
sale that I'm gonna do here, like, in the next couple weeks, so
perfect. Now, have you done a newsletter recently? Because I'm starting to think that I'm a horrible human being and that I have not signed up for this yet.
no, I have not,
Oh, okay,
you're not yeah, you're probably on it, but I have not sent out an email. I really try to send only, like, 1 email a year or maybe 2,
cool. Okay,
because I don't like to spam people.
yeah.
So, when the presale is ready, that'll you'll get an email then, and then when the book actually launches for the public, you'll get an email then too. So,
Perfect. Okay, that sounds awesome. So everybody that's watching this right now, give that link and click so that way you don't miss it on the pre-sales because I know for a fact that they are going to go very fast, and I imagine there's only going to be so many that are going to be available to go out with the signed pre-sales. And there's my cat again because
mhm.
she's excited about the pre-sales as well.
Oh,
So
good.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic, and I love it. And I'm very happy that I was able to get these from you last year as well, nice and signed. So they are part of my well treasured books too. So looking forward to the next one.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you.
All right, thank you. So, and I'm just going to do the typical house clean in there, and then we will turn it over to you for a little bit of a sample. So, if everybody's been enjoying this conversation so far, and they, like me, appreciate that the world needs more of Felix's writing, do yourself a favor, do me and the channel and Felix a favor by hitting like, and that way it'll push it out to more people that would love his books. And if you like some of the other stuff that you see on the channel, feel free to hit subscribe, but just do it if you really like what you see here. And yeah, and other than that, Felix, we're at your mercy with your words.
Awesome. Okay. Well, it's time to take off the mask. So first, let me shut off my camera. Yeah, I don't think I've ever, s- you know, done an audiobook narration in earnest. So, and I'm also doing this is a clean read here. I have not practiced this read, so you're gonna get my worst side. The Sorrowstones by Felix Blackwell, also narrated by Felix Blackwell. Chapter 1. The thing I remember most about 7th grade was watching my best friend die. Noah was almost 12 and had never suffered any health issues in all the years we'd known each other. In our second year of middle school, however, he got sick. It was 1999. Our town was a bastion of civilization in the wild forests of Oregon, just big enough for a group of kids to get lost in. Brittany and the Backstreet Boys poured from every stereo, and young people all over the state donned cargo pants with irresponsible amounts of zippers. My squad was easy to spot. All of us had spiked hair, and 3 of the 4 of us had frosted tips, the universal marker of preteen badassery. We were dorks, and happily so, lost in the magical moments of unsupervised boyhood a generation before smartphones and social media. One spring afternoon, Noah, Kevin, Squeeze, and I were sitting at a table beneath a big tree where we'd spent countless lunchtimes bartering collectible cards, belching at girls, and bickering over who was the best on a skateboard. Noah rocked his new Blink-182 shirt, and I remember it vividly because of the cruel fate it suffered. In the middle of a rant about which Marvel superhero was the smartest, Noah suddenly went quiet and dropped his pizza slice right onto his pants. His eyes unfixed and the color drained from his face as if he were being harvested by a vampire. "Noah?" Kevin asked, poking him on the forehead with a chubby finger. "Anyone home?" Noah took a slow, deep breath and then unleashed a tsunami of puke all over Kevin, who ran away cursing. Squeeze and I burst into hysterical laughter, but the good times ended when Noah began to convulse. He fell backward as more vomit rushed out of him, dousing his shirt and flooding across the table. Our food, our comics, and even our backpacks were swimming in a sea of bloody barf. Noah's body went stiff, except his legs, which trembled violently. "Noah!" I yelled, realizing this was an emergency. "Squeeze, go find a teacher!" Squeeze was already across the courtyard shrieking for help before I could flip Noah onto his side. The lunch monitors rushed in and beheld the scene, which caused one of them to retch. Noah was able to sit up after a while, but he kept spitting blood on the ground and crying. I felt like crying too, but I couldn't. Instead, my anxiety had paralyzed me into a frigid stupor. Noah's mother skidded into the parking lot within minutes of receiving a call from the school nurse. "What the hell are you feeding these kids? Toxic waste?" she barked at the principal while stabbing the air between them with her finger. Squeeze and I watched Noah's mom from the nurse's office, mesmerized by her anger and the glimmer on our principal's sweaty forehead. I don't know why, but my brain conjured scenes of her using that finger to dig out his eyes and eat them. Over the years, that fantasy melded into my memories, and now I recall the squishing sounds of her chewing so vividly that I sometimes wonder if it really happened. We watched the paramedics load our friend into an ambulance and speed off. Before they slammed the door on him, Noah's horrified eyes met mine, and I wondered if I'd ever see him again.
That night, my mom poked her head into my bedroom while Kevin and Squeeze were over. She had a look of relief on her face. "Boys," she said lovingly, "Noah's gonna be just fine. They think it was food poisoning. Get some rest and I'll take you to see him tomorrow." Kevin, Squeeze, and I lay on the floor in our sleeping bags, gazing up at the hundreds of glow-in-the-dark stars my dad and I had put on the ceiling a year before. I traced new constellations with my dog's beloved laser pointer. "Thank God," said Squeeze, fretting with the rope bracelets he always wore. "I thought we'd become the three amigos." "I'm glad he's okay," Kevin replied. "But dead or alive, he owes me a new shirt. I want his Slipknot tee." "You'd have to lose about 1,000 pounds to fit into Noah's clothes," Squeeze shot back. I tried to stifle a laugh. "Shut up, Squeeze," Kevin hissed, making a gesture like he was crushing someone's heart. Squeeze and I cringed, recalling the day he'd earned his nickname. Back in 6th grade, Scotty had thought it'd be funny to lift Kelly Huxon's skirt in front of the lunch line. She'd caught him in the act, grabbed his balls through his basketball shorts, and squeezed until his voice rose 2 octaves. That was the day I realized I had feelings for her. "Guys," I said, "if Noah got food poisoning, why aren't we sick? We all had the same pizza today." "Iron guts," Kevin said, slapping his big belly. "I feel fine." "Me too," I said with a shrug. "Weird." "You're always sick, Cole," Squeeze added. "Give it a few hours. You'll be in the hospital with Noah by morning." "Don't get him worked up," Kevin snapped. "Cole's got that panic thing too. You'll give him a heart attack." "Hospitals treat food poisoning and heart attacks, stupid," Squeeze quipped. Kevin whacked Squeeze in the head with his pillow. Squeeze's bleached spikes reverted into a fuzzy mane. "Come to think of it, I haven't been sick in a while," I replied. "Sleep time, boys," Mom bellowed from the hall. "Cole, don't push it." "Yes, Mom," I grumbled. I got up and tossed the laser pointer into my desk drawer so the dog wouldn't whine about it all night. As it fell into the clutter, the laser plinked against an object that made an unfamiliar sound. I reached inside and my hand fell upon a rough stone in the shape of a tortoise. It was a strange trinket I'd found last year and had forgotten until now. As I drifted off to sleep, I remembered the last time I'd been sick. As a little kid, I'd always had tummy trouble. The doctors could never figure out if I had a digestive disorder or just a nervous condition, but it seemed like I was sleeping next to a bucket at least once a month. My dad used to say I threw up more than most cats. The last time I'd fallen ill was about 5 months ago, on Halloween. I remembered feeling so terrible that day I was sure I'd missed trick-or-treating. As I lay in bed watching South Park and brooding over my ruined evening, Noah came through the door with a devilish grin on his face. "Boy, have I got a surprise for you," he said, tossing an empty pillowcase at me. He dropped his backpack and started changing into a ninja costume, which matched the one draped over my desk chair. "I don't think I can go out tonight," I said, carefully releasing a nauseous burp. "Get it together, man," he replied, pulling a black mask over his dirty blonde hair. "You don't want to miss where we're going." Over the next few minutes, Noah regaled me with a story told to him by Kevin, who'd found the world's greatest neighborhood for trick-or-treating, the Accolades. The houses were huge, the owners were generous, and a few of them even had haunted mazes and other festivities. It sounded like a dream come true. Fizzing with excitement for all the chocolatey possibilities, I convinced myself I was well enough to go and made a miraculous recovery in under 2 hours. My mother argued with me for a bit, but finally caved when my older sister Cassie promised to escort us with our German shepherd, Thor. I donned my costume, ready for battle, and we vanished into the night. "Holy shit," I said with a gasp as we arrived in the new neighborhood. "Rich pricks," Cassie added. "Unbelievable." "Ladies and gentlemen," Noah said, throwing his arms wide, "I give you the Accolades." He hadn't exaggerated. These were the biggest houses I'd ever seen. Practically every one of them had a pool or a basketball court. One even had a go-kart track. Each house was adorned with spooky decorations, and scores of children zipped between them like bees in a flower bed. Laughter and squeals filled the night, and every cool costume in existence was on display. Pirates, ninjas, skeletons, and all manner of zombified pop culture icons. "Let's get to work," Noah said, tightening his mask and unsheathing his plastic katana. "To battle!" I shouted, ignoring the burbling in my stomach and begging God to grant me a pass just this one night. Even if he decided to smite me with another wave of nausea, there were plenty of hedges to puke in. It was a wholesome trick-or-treating affair made all the more festive by an eerie blanket of fog. Noah, Cassie, Thor, and I worked each street like a crew of bandits, covering the entire neighborhood in under 2 hours. We made it home by 10 o'clock, lugging pillowcases stuffed with sugary treasure. Despite the news-driven hysteria at the time, I didn't find any rat poison or needles in my haul that night. But I did find something else. While sitting on the floor of my bedroom with Noah, I fished around in my pillowcase for another Kit Kat bar, and my hand fell on something odd. I retrieved the object and turned it over in my hands. It was a green tortoise statue about the size of a golf ball. The uneven shell sloped at different angles around its rim, and the beak curled up in the faintest of smiles. The eyes, mere black pits, seemed to gape in horror at something only the tortoise could see. An alien feeling crept over me as I studied it. I imagined those eyes staring into oblivion, watching the turn of dark centuries, drinking the light of cold stars as they wheeled through the sky. A tiny inscription circled the bottom of the shell, but I couldn't make it out. "The hell's that?" Noah asked. "Dunno," I mumbled, snapping out of my reverie. It was in my bag. "Chocolate turtle?" "No, too heavy." Noah yanked the statue from my hand and studied it. "That's jade," he said. "That big Buddha in my dad's office is made of it." "But why would someone give it to me?" I asked. "Maybe they thought you were too fat for the chocolate ones," he replied. We laughed. I set the tortoise statue in my desk drawer among my Beast Wars action figures and forgot about it. That night we ate candy until we hallucinated. My stomach never once growled in protest. Chapter 2. Noah got out of the hospital 2 days after the incident at school, but he was never quite the same. Over the next few months, his hair thinned, his skin paled, and he began shedding weight from his already lanky frame. He lost his ability to eat the junk food we loved, and when we played outside, Noah would become exhausted within minutes. Squeeze started to make fun of him for being even more out of shape than Kevin, who could hardly walk up the 5 stairs at the school entrance without getting out of breath. In stark contrast, I was feeling better all the time. I figured I was growing out of whatever digestive condition had plagued me throughout my childhood, because I no longer took sick days or slept on the floor of the bathroom. Kevin, Squeeze, and I ate all the pizza we could fit in our faces, but Noah could only watch and choke down the carrots and diced chicken his mom had prepared. "Simple foods," Noah would say, reciting what his doctors had told him. "Foods with one ingredient. They're easier to break down, I guess." The image of his gaunt body hidden under a blanket while he snacked on rabbit food filled me with pity. Sadly, over the remainder of the year, our group began to exclude Noah from our adventures. He couldn't find the strength to climb the tree at our hangout spot in the woods. He couldn't play basketball with us at the courts in the park. He couldn't even sleep over anymore unless we all wanted to go to bed at 7 o'clock. My best friend was withering away right before my eyes, and I had no idea how to help him. Then one day, Noah stopped showing up to class. The teacher told us he'd be finishing his schoolwork at home for the rest of the year. "Lucky son of a bitch," Kevin whined on the bus ride home. "Not that lucky," Squeeze replied. "I think he's really sick, dude. But his mom probably lets him play video games all day. She's cool as hell." "Miss Triana wants me to bring homework packets to him," I said, pulling a thin stack of papers out of my backpack. "You guys want to come with?" "Nah," Kevin said. "We're going to the arcade with my dad. You should come." "I'll try," I said, zipping up my backpack as the bus rolled to my stop. "But you guys should visit soon. It would make Noah happy." "Tell him to quit faking!" Kevin yelled out the window as the bus pulled away. I headed straight for Noah's house, eager to check on him and catch him up on all the gossip around the schoolyard. Plus, I wanted to copy his homework. Noah's mother greeted me at the front door. The hopeless look on her face filled me with worry. "Hi, Cole," she said through taut lips. "Thanks so much for bringing Noah's assignments home." "It's no problem, Mrs. Schwartz," I said, taken aback by her demeanor. When I handed over the homework packet, I got a terrible feeling that she didn't intend to give it to him. Noah's mom led me up the stairs and down a darkened hallway to her son's bedroom. The curtains were drawn in the house now, blocking out most of the light and giving the place a dreary ambiance. I'd been in this house 1,000 times, but on this occasion it felt like an eerie copy of itself, robbed of any warmth and filled with something dreadful. The only light in Noah's room came from the TV. A horror film was playing, and it bathed the walls in a red glow. I watched as a pack of zombies overpowered a young woman and tore strips of flesh from her body to feast upon. "Honey," Mrs. Schwartz said, "I told you not to watch scary movies. Watch something funny. It's better for you." Noah didn't respond. His mother left me there in the room with him and closed the door softly behind her. "Hey, bro," I said, approaching Noah's bed. His floor was cleaner than I'd ever seen it. He hadn't been splaying out his comics or organizing his Pokemon card collections at all. The only thing on the ground now was a bucket, which brought to mind all the terrible nights I'd spent beside one just like it. "Even zombies can eat," Noah said in a gravelly voice. "Why can't I?" I glanced back at the TV, which now showed a close-up of a skinless, wide-eyed ghoul munching on a snarl of intestine. "What about soup?" I asked, trying to force an optimistic tone. "I'll ask your mom to make us some chicken noodle soup. That sounds really good, actually." "I'd rather not," Noah said. He pulled the cord on the lamp next to him and lit up the room. I gasped at his appearance. Noah had deteriorated since I'd last seen him. In a matter of days, his cheeks had sunk into pits and his skin had turned a bluish-gray color. Little sores dotted his arms and neck. His eyes looked right through me, far beyond the room, as if into the next world. "Jesus," I whispered. I remembered my grandfather saying he could sense death just before something terrible happened in the war, and I felt that way now looking upon my friend. He didn't have long. "Noah," I said, sitting on the bed and trying to maintain my composure, "why aren't you in the hospital? You look like shit, dude. No offense." "We just came back," he replied, absently scratching his head. A clump of hair came off and stuck to his fingers. "They keep sending me home with those." Noah pointed at an assortment of medications and Ensure shakes lined up on the dresser. He pulled the lamp string again and returned the room to darkness, shrouding his unsettling features. "I've been thinking," he continued in a low voice, "what if it's like the movies? What if I need to eat a person to get better?" "What are you talking about?" I stammered. I didn't want to be in Noah's room anymore. "Vampires and other monsters do it," he went on. A sinister grin crept onto his face. "They get weak when they haven't had human flesh or blood, and when they get it, they're strong again." "But you're not a monster, Noah," I said. "I'm starting to look like one," he replied. His vacant eyes gleamed at me in the glow of the TV. "If my mom tries to feed me cauliflower one more time, I might test my theory on her." Anxiety welled up in my chest and formed a knot in my throat. I felt a panic attack brewing within me, so I made up an excuse and left the house as quickly as I could. I hated to admit it, but Noah was starting to give me the creeps. And that's it. That's the first 2 chapters.
Wow. That is some pretty heavy duty stuff, man. Wow. What I found fascinating about all that is that you seem to blend like this brooding atmosphere that was very much akin to certainly Two Stolen Tongues, but told through like these innocent kids. And what I loved about all that too is like there's obviously dark humor in there, and there's so much that's going on kind of in between the words, if you will, that yeah, it's really I was yeah very impressive, and I'm in. I can't wait to read the rest of this now.
Well, thank you. Yeah, that I appreciate that. It I I'm trying to in this book I'm trying to do like a more casual style,
Yeah,
similar to Stolen Tongues, but like a bit cleaner and tighter, you know.
sure.
Um, and there are these 4 boys, Squeeze, Kevin, Noah, and Cole, and I try to create a little bit of distance between their personalities, and I think that comes out later on in the book. But for now, just a bunch of goofy kids, you know.
Yeah.
The book does get extremely dark. It's pretty fucked up, and so I hope people enjoy it.
I have no doubt. And And I love the fact too, like it really felt like it was in kind of a time machine. Certainly as a kid of the the 80s. I mean, I was born in '76, so that qualifies me certainly for the '80s and the uh,
Yeah.
the irresponsible amount of zippers. I had to really laugh at that because of course, I was heavily influenced by Michael Jackson's Thriller
Oh yeah.
and that entire album, etc., and Michael Jackson himself. And I was actually that kid who, if you remember, it was from his Beat It video where he had that red jacket with all the zippers.
Oh yeah. I'm
I
I'm deeply into Michael Jackson. I
I had one of those.
yeah. Yeah. You
Yeah,
and Eddie Murphy.
yeah,
Eddie
yeah,
Murphy really wore that jacket around in the 80s. Um,
that's true.
yeah. When I must have been 3 or 4 maybe,
Yeah.
and the Dangerous album came out, and that was the first album Michael released in the 90s. And I rocked that album 24/7 as a kid. My
Yeah,
mom bought me a what's it called? A Walkman. You play the
yeah,
cassette
oh yeah,
tapes in there.
yeah.
Yeah, and I think that was my entry point into becoming a musician. Um,
No kidding.
I haven't had similar success to Michael Jackson with my music,
Yeah.
but I like to think it's okay, you know. So
Yeah.
maybe
Yeah.
someday.
Yeah, you never know. You never what style of music do you tend to play?
All of my music is a In a Perfect Circle ripoff. It's a total ripoff
Okay.
of like the works of Maynard James Keenan for sure.
Nice.
I'd be ashamed to share it with my readers because they would know right away, but I love it. So yeah,
Yeah.
lots of stuff influenced by like The Cure, you know.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Can't go wrong with the Cure. That's fantastic. So
yeah,
now, is there a place, not to, of course, take people away from the book stuff here, but from a purely selfish standpoint, I'm curious: is there a place that people can go to check out your music, or do you kind of do it for fun and maybe play around some of the clubs and the bars and stuff in your in
yeah.
your area and that, or is there a place that like do you commercially produce any of this stuff where people can listen to it?
Yeah, I publish and release music with a buddy of mine. I don't really cross-contaminate projects though, so I don't
That's
share
fair.
my music with my reading business, or
Sure.
my writing business. But yeah, I do. I put stuff online, and also occasionally, as Felix Blackwell, I release like diss tracks for the
Hmm.
authors in the like what's it called, the book brawls that like BOH used to put up.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah.
So they can go find those, and I'll
Yeah.
be releasing 2 more of those in the next like 2 months, I think. So those are fun. You can find those on my Facebook page.
Very
Um,
cool.
but I write like a lot of obscure
Okay.
prog rock, and I don't think it would have a wide appeal. So I
Yeah.
don't really share it that much on my Facebook page. But yeah,
Now, what instruments do you play? Like, are you a guitar player or strictly vocals? And
yeah. For our band, I play the guitar. I do the bass on some of the songs, but not all the songs, and then I do the vocals. So
I think my cat wants to be famous.
that's okay. Yeah, she's pretty enough to be.
Yeah, yeah, no, she's pretty awesome. I'm almost was almost questioning if you truly do have cats. I mean, I saw you had your cat tree there, but I'm used
Yeah.
to my cat being a complete cat hole. Is that I swear to God, like every time I'm doing a podcast, she has to come and it's almost like she knows that I'm talking to the camera
Oh
because I don't
yeah.
know if you like there's most of the times I've successfully pulled her away from it, but except for that time,
Yeah.
she comes in front and sticks her face there, or sticks her butthole there while she's looking at my face, saying, "What the hell are you
Oh,
doing?"
yeah.
Like, I'm the only person in your life. Like, I'm the only creature that matters. Forget anybody else you might be talking to. It's all about me.
If there's one thing I'm certain of in this life, it's that all cats suffer from severe narcissistic personality disorder. Um,
Yeah,
and so, yeah, I've got a couple of kitties, and they do not appreciate it when I have conversations with anybody but them. So I do get
yeah.
a cat butthole in my face pretty often. I've got them locked out of the room now just so that I can like
Oh, okay,
focus
that's the
on this.
secret.
But yeah, no, I'm with you, and nothing that happened with your cat tonight was a surprise to me at all. And by the way, I mean, I think the the Venn diagram of people that love horror novels and people that love cats has got to be a circle. So I don't
I
think you should,
Yeah.
yeah, you shouldn't be a perfect circle. Uh,
Ah, I see what you did there.
yeah, so I don't think you should worry about the cat disrupting your podcast. I feel like she kind of adds to the atmosphere.
Exactly, exactly. At least she didn't add to the, the crappy part of the atmosphere and, try to make you guess what she had for lunch. So that was nice. You got her on a polite day.
Yeah, yeah, that's
But that's
good.
fine. I never thought about that. That is so funny about how, yeah, so many horror authors are such fans of cats. I mean, back I made a reference earlier to Jack Ketchum, as I often do, but he had on his website the picture of him kiss one of his cats on his writing desk, and he was a huge cat fan.
Oh yeah.
So
I think
that's interesting.
they help put me in the like emotional headspace that I need to be in to write. I feel like pets in general just make us more vulnerable to our emotions. They make us more sensitive, and
Agreed.
um, they love us in a way that people don't really. And there's a quote by the famous poet Anatole France, who once said, quite famously, he said, "Until one loves an animal, a part of one's soul remains unawakened." And
Mm.
I really feel that quote. It resonates with me a lot. I have desperately loved some animals in my life, and I've
Yeah.
got a tattoo on my chest for my cat who passed away a few years ago. And
Ah.
so yeah, no, they don't bother me at all when they get into these podcasts.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's kind of like you said, it adds the ambiance of it all and the energy and stuff. So yeah, I know. I love having the cats around. It's funny because this cat here, her name is Muse. I named her after the cat from
Nice.
um, what's his face here, Dustin's cat from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Although that cat didn't make it very far in the series, but
Mm.
the funny thing is that I named her that because I thought it was a cool name, but it also is very fitting to her because she just won't shut up. She's constantly mewing, and she sounds
Oh.
like she just spends all of her day drinking whiskey shots and
Yeah.
smoking cigars in the in the poker room. She's like, "Rah, rah," sounds like a bleating goat. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got one just like that. I've got a little orange cat with one brain cell, and man,
Oh.
he loves the sound of his own voice. So I listen to that all day.
Yeah, I can't. I mean, I don't live with them, so it's obviously I have a different perspective, but I can't be mad at that at all because I think, yeah, orange cats are the best.
Oh yeah, for sure.
We had one that passed away about a year ago. Yeah, holy smokes, yeah, the other half is correct to me there, January, so it's not quite a year ago. And man, I was attached to that cat. That sucked when she. I mean, it sucks when any of your animals pass away, but
Yeah, yeah, I'm sorry for your
yeah,
loss. It really is
thanks.
a pain that only other animal lovers understand.
So true.
And I've had people say to me like, "Well, it's just a pet.
Yeah.
It's not, and it's true. Like I do know a person whose son died, and so I would never compare the pain
Right.
to hers. But it can really tear you apart to lose an
Sure.
animal, and yeah, I know that feeling.
Well, they become such a support system in a lot of ways that all of a sudden you know, you lose that support system. Like I know this orange cat, she was super empathic. Like it was almost to the point of eeriness
Oh yeah.
because you would just be sitting around having a bad day, and she would just be come up. She'd sit on your chest, and she'd start purring away. Like you didn't have to touch her. Like she just like almost instinctively knew it's like it's okay. I got you.
Yeah,
And she weighed like a pound, maybe like the size of a butter or something. Like she was a
oh,
tiny cat, but she had a lot of love to give.
just a pound. She must have been really small.
Well, I think she was exactly how I think she was about 4 pounds,
Oh, okay.
about that. And I mean, she's a little bit lighter when she eventually died because she just, yeah,
Yeah.
lost a lot. I mean, she was always tiny though.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, I've had pets that are animals, and I've had pets that are like companions, and they feel like a person who got like a human that got turned into an animal by
right.
a witch. And there is no barrier between you and some pets. Like it's just
Yeah.
like your souls connect. I've learned how much we communicate non-verbally through my love for animals. Which some people might find ironic given Numi's brutal treatment in The Church
Yeah.
Beneath the Roots. But
Yeah, but at the same time, that's how you are able to write such relatable pain because you can imagine these things happening to a beloved pet, and you
oh
you you
god,
you understand the pain.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
I don't think you can write pain effectively unless you understand it effectively.
that's true. Yeah. And I try not to be too much of a drama queen about it because everybody's had their losses, but I
Sure.
definitely put that pain into my own writing, music and books, as I'm sure almost all artists do.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. At least the successful ones, or at least the, I don't know, the fulfilling ones, if you will, I guess, that you can actually read it and get something from them.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that's right.
and it's funny, the animals. I mean, I used to have, obviously before cats, I had pet rats quite often. I've gone through I don't know how many of those things because they have a nasty habit of only living about a few years or so.
Yeah,
And it's funny because I was the same person too. I thought I would, what am I going to do with a rat? I didn't want them, and then it was actually an ex-wife convinced me. He's like, "All right, well, I'll get them." And it's like, "All right, well, that's 100% your pet then." And then
yeah.
you get these furry little creatures, and you become attached to them. And I've had a couple that were such little support buddies. Like, same thing. You'd have a crappy day, and they nuzzle up to your neck and they chirp away, and you're like, "All right, this rat gets me. I can live with that."
Yeah, I know exactly what you're saying. We've had a couple of rats here, and
Oh, okay.
they, as far as I'm concerned, they're a breed of dog. They're just a small dog.
Yeah.
They're such loving animals. They really appreciate their owners. They're playful. They're funny. They have personalities. They're just like dogs.
So much so.
And yeah, we lost a rat, and it several years ago, but it was
Yeah.
really painful. She was a total sweetheart. I loved her to
Yeah.
death.
Yeah, yeah, you nailed it, and yeah, sorry for that too. Like it does leave a big loss too. Like it's even a little critter like that. It's amazing. Like I
Yeah.
remember this
I
one named Peaches. I'll never forget that. Right, of all the rats, she was just such a sweetheart, just like her
Peaches,
name.
yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yep.
Yeah, we I have a suspicion that I would fall in love with extremely large cats too, like tigers and
Oh
jaguars and
yeah.
leopards. And I got to hang out with some cheetahs a few times. And
How cool was that?
yeah, I've been close to some tigers, but obviously I didn't like get to interact with them because they're
Sure.
the fucking most dangerous animal on earth. But
Yeah.
they there's something really ensorceling to me about big cats, and I'm so fascinated with them. Like, I sometimes on YouTube, like if I can't sleep, I'll just watch like videos of tigers hanging out with each other and like leopards
Yeah.
sitting up in trees and stuff. I don't know what it is, but they amaze me. I think I yeah.
Yeah, there's something else, and just large animals in general. I find like one of my favorite animals is an elephant.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
got one. Sorry, forgot where the angles are all off. Yeah, I've got one. There it is somewhere. Yeah, I just kind of get the idea. I think
Oh,
if I
nice.
twisted my arm so you could actually see it, I'm not supposed to bend my arm that way.
All
Um,
right.
but it's on there. Take my word for it. And yeah, I just find like just any big animal or big cat, like you just look into their eyes and it just sucks your soul right in there. Like there's just some sort of I don't know, like wisdom or something they've got that you just can't quite put a finger on. But there's a feeling there for sure, though.
Several years ago, I read an article about how a government, I'm not sure which country's government did this, but they granted non-human primates personhood and
Hmm.
and therefore gave to them certain inalienable rights that humans have. Um, and I, you know, I've seen. I'm particularly fond of orangutans for some reason. So, like when I go to the
Oh
zoo, but when they get close to the glass and you really get to interact with them a little bit,
yeah.
there is humanity in their eyes, and
Oh yeah.
they have I use this term in a metaphorical sense, but they have souls just like people
Mhm.
do, and I really struggle to fathom how people can like go out and just shoot them for practice or for fun, or for the challenge, out in the
Yeah.
wild. Um, but then again, I don't want to be too critical of them because I am a hypocrite myself. I'm not a vegan or anything like that, so I
Sure.
do contribute to the mass suffering of animals in my own way.
Yeah.
Um, but like, yeah, loving animals is definitely a part of my life.
Yeah, no, I don't get that either. I mean, I think it says a lot about somebody too. If maybe they don't have animals for practical reasons, maybe they've got allergies or they're germaphobes and they can't handle having, cat hair, dog hair, or something around, or maybe they have a lifestyle where they're just not going to be there for a
Yeah.
pet. That I can appreciate, but people are just like, no, I just don't do animals. I don't need an animal in my life. It's like, I'm not sure I can be your friend.
Yeah, well, that's what France was saying when he was talking about people with unawakened souls,
Right.
they don't know the pleasure yet, and that's okay. Maybe someday they will.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah, if they're so lucky, because yeah, I think that's exactly it. There's not, it's like if you remember the I don't know if you've seen the show Secret Life of Pets.
I haven't seen it, but I've heard of it.
Okay. It's awesome. So there's one okay, I won't tell you what part of the movie it starts, but there's a section of it where you've got this guy, he comes home from work. He's this big, huge, brooding dude. Like he makes I don't know, like he kind of looks like Mr. Clean, but a much, bigger version of that.
Right?
Like, Mr. Clean cleans this guy's home. And he's just this big brooding dude. He comes home and then he has his little tiny Tweety bird thing on his head, his big bald, you know, masculine looking head.
Yeah.
And he's just all of a sudden just becomes a complete softy and that. And I think that's, yeah, it's pretty cool. Not to mention, I mean, of course, even the smallest animal, like they will do whatever it takes to protect you and to protect their home as well.
And they have a softening effect for sure on people. I really
Yeah.
appreciate, the animal companions I've had throughout my life, and
Yeah.
maybe I'll try to fit them into some books.
I don't know if I would want a sweet companion like animal in any of your books, though.
Maybe, yeah. Yeah,
I've
now
seen
that
what
you
happens
mention
to animals in your books and people.
Yeah. Well, is that the only cat you got right there? Or I think you said you had a couple other ones
I
earlier,
do.
right?
I have one other one. Her name is Cheetah.
Yeah.
She looks very much like her coloring is very like almost like a Bengal
Nice.
kind of thing. But I guess her patches reminded my son of a cheetah, so he named
Yeah.
her Cheetah,
Cool.
which is cool. But she's a different breed, like different type of character where she's very narcissistic because she's very sweet. She'll be very loving, but it has to be 100% on your terms. I mean,
Yeah.
my muse, I don't need a dog. She is a dog. Like she greets me at the door when I come home from work.
Nice.
I can call her name anywhere she is in my home. She'll come running to find me. She plays like a dog sometimes, but this cat, Cheetah, is unique. Like she'll come by, you'll call her to you. Sometimes she'll come to you, sometimes she won't. But when she does, she'll kind of come by and she'll like rub her body or her head up against your hand,
Yeah.
and then she'll kind of go leave, and then she'll sort of circle back around again. Like she's like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, okay, I kind of love you and I want your affection, but I can't let you get close."
Yeah. I've got one just like that. I've heard when they rub up against you, that's like a scent marking thing just to,
Right.
your propertyhood is sort of washed off throughout the day, and they're
Yeah.
remarking you to let other animals know that you have an owner. Um,
Huh.
and mine, she really wants verbal affirmation, lots of verbal affection, compliments, but she
Yeah.
doesn't really want to be touched that much. She has to be in the right mood for that. So we try to love her in her own way.
Yeah.
It sounds like you've got one similar.
Very similar. Yeah, we got her more as a companion to our other cat, because God forbid that we are her only companions. Like we need to piece her love of affection out to other sources.
Yeah.
So when our orange kitty cat died, there's no replace of that one. But we got this other cat a few months later. We always go through our animal humane society basically, so we always get
Mhm.
the rescue ones. And she came up when we got her, and it was a real interesting. It was really interesting because she was so different from her other cat. Like her other cat was similar
Mhm.
to her, but she was always my cat. My girlfriend's like, yeah, she's definitely your cat, the one that
Mhm.
died, the orange one that died, and very much was very attached. And I for the longest time, I was the only person that could pick her up and hold her for any length of time.
Mhm.
And then in their last half year or so, my girlfriend was able to do the same thing too.
That's good.
But yeah, this new cat's she doesn't do that. I can pick her up a little bit. You have to hold her a certain way, and she's okay for maybe 2 minutes, and then you feel her body start to tense. So then you put her down, so she's not gonna scratch your eyes out.
You know what? Yeah, that's funny that you mentioned that. Our vet once told us that some cats have I guess it's like a neurological. I don't want to call it a disorder because I don't think that's what it is, but it's like
Sure.
a trait where they get like sensory overload super easily if you touch them
Mm,
too much. So some cats, like you pet them a few
yeah.
times and they kind of like get super high strung all of a sudden and they either
Right.
swipe at you or they take off. And he says that that has to do with this neurological quality, and you
Huh.
can tell which cats have it obviously by touching them too much, but
Sure.
also if their skin and their fur twitches a lot when you look at them,
Hmm.
and if they when you touch them, if their skin really like responds, if it gets really twitchy and their tails twitch and stuff.
Yeah.
So my cat actually has that, and
Huh.
she gets a little weird after too many pets. So
That's really interesting. I know certainly with Muse, the one that's trying to be famous over here.
yeah.
Oftentimes you'll touch her and there'll be like a ripple over her body,
Yes. Yeah.
but she can't get enough. Like you'll
Oh,
pet her and you'll start to take your hand away and she'll literally grab your hand and
yeah.
pull it back towards her. Or anytime if you've been petting her and you start to walk away or you just walk past her, she'll just randomly like smack you on the ass or
Oh, yeah.
trying to get your attention. Whereas the other one, uh, that's really interesting you mentioned that because you might be onto something. You might have just diagnosed her
Yeah.
because I do find that she's an extremely intelligent cat, and it's funny because I'll pick her up and immediately like she'll stick her neck out. She'll be looking all over the place, like she's like, oh, different perspective.
Hmm.
Have to take it in, but then maybe she gets so overwhelmed and she has to go down. And she also, when we got her, they described her as a kitten, but like under a year. I think they figured she was a year or a little bit less. Or no, sorry, my bad. The opposite of that was true. Sorry, they said that she was about 2 years old, but she was clearly not even a year old yet. We figured she might have been about 8 months or so, if that, because she gained a lot of weight really quickly when she got here. But she also has this habit where she will suckle.
Mm.
She did it a lot when we first got her. Not as much
Hmm.
now, but sometimes you'll be petting the crap out of her and then she'll just go into suckling and it's gross. Like
Yeah.
you can touch a blanket after and it's like she might as well just like spill water over top of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
We've got one that does that too. It's funny that our cats should be so similar, but yeah, I don't know if is maybe that comes from the kitten being taken away from the mother too early, like before it's done nursing,
I
and they
think so.
develop a
That's what I
habit.
feared it was, but
Yeah,
it could be a little bit of both. Maybe she gets overwhelmed really easily, and that's her coping mechanism that she kind of goes with. But I
yeah,
think it might have been too, because unfortunately, because you do get, when you get them from the Humane Society, like you have no idea what their history is.
yeah. True.
Unfortunately. So she seems to not like loud noises really like very much, especially if it's a sudden loud noise. So I kind of get the impression that she was on the streets for a while. Maybe
Mhm.
maybe she was a litter of a stray cat
Yeah.
or something to that effect. Whereas the other one, Muse, when we got her, she wasn't in a cage or carrier at all. She just had the run of a pet store and she
Mm.
just kind of ran all over the place. So she was good. She was pretty well adjusted. She's just we call her a dumb jock because that's how she is. She greets you, but she'll greet you by headbutting you.
Yeah, that's funny.
Well, thank you very much again for all your time here, Felix. Really appreciate this. Cannot wait to finish to get into Sorrowstone and to read whatever the future might hold for you. So appreciate your time, man.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was fun. Thanks.